Okay, cool. Well, hello everyone. Hope you're all well. For anybody that's new, my name's Rich. I'm the head coach and founder of RIAK Fitness. We're ostensibly a triathlon coaching and cycling coaching outfit, doing various things. Our main thing is the bespoke training plans and coaching relationships. Various adverts you'll see, no, other side, to my left. So I won't go into too much about that because you'll be bombarded with the adverts all the way through. But just want to do a quick shout out to a couple of our partners. So you'll see on the adverts rolling through, we got a lovely discount code for sun-dried, wearing their shorts and their barefoot shoes as well, and then also a code for 80/20 coffee, which is cracking stuff. Steadily working my way through a 1 kilo bag of beans. So yeah, note down the codes from the adverts if you're interested. But anyway, so this is week 5 of our Elemental Move series. Okay, so if you're new to these sessions, basically what we're doing in this series is each session we're focusing on a particular area or a particular kind of exercise or group of exercises. Probably stuff that you've done before. I don't imagine any of the stuff that we've done so far or will be doing is particularly groundbreaking, but one of the things that we know from experience is that even the most popular exercises, like the bog standard squat, people generally aren't ever really taught kind of the fundamentals. They know what they're doing because of intuition or from watching other people, but they've never kind of drilled down into the mechanics and what they're really looking to achieve in terms of their form. And so that's kind of what we're looking to address with this series. In this session in week 5, we're looking at core conditioning. Okay, so why bother with that? Well, because having a well-conditioned core is just absolutely fundamental for an endurance athlete, triathlete, cyclist, runner, whatever you are. Or to be honest, even if you don't consider yourself an endurance athlete, having a well-conditioned core, full stop, is just, I don't like using the word, but functional, because it helps you function. So what we're talking about really is basically the whole central pillar, everything but your limbs, your arms, basically everything but your arms and your legs. So we're not just talking abs. So that's one thing I really want to get across right from the start. Okay, we're not just talking abs, we're talking about the whole central pillar, because if this central pillar is strong and can maintain its form, then it's much easier, much more efficient to produce power, produce speed, depending on whatever sport you're thinking of. And I was trying to come up. I love my weird analogies. I was trying to come up with one before this session, and the only one I can come up with is having a strong core is like being in a rowing boat. Nice and solid. You got the oars. And you're hopefully going in a very straight line, as opposed to trying to do the same thing on one of those banana boats, and it's like snaking all over the place. That's what happens when you've got a weak core. Okay, it's much harder to row. Not that I've ever tried rowing on a banana boat, so we'll swiftly move on from that analogy. Anyway, right, so we're focusing on the core in this session, so let's get started. In terms of kit that you're going to need, you are going to need a medium weight dumbbell or kettlebell, or something around the house that's that you can hold on to in one hand, that's of reasonably challenging nature. A stool or a chair or something like this that we're going to be kind of lying back on. Okay, and then also a mini band. So we use these ones from sun-dried, and they're very good. Yeah, so medium weight dumbbell, stool or chair, and then a mini band. If you do have a selection of weights, then fantastic. You might need a heavier weight to do one of the exercises, but it's really not a big deal. Okay, right, so let's get started then. Okay, so what we're going to do to get going is just going to start by jogging on the spot. You might feel like a little bit of a lemon, but just nice and light on your feet. Immediately regretting this, I'm still very sore from a run. Oh well, you may see me cry this evening. Okay, so just jogging on the spot, just lifting the heart rate steadily, just nice and relaxed. Okay, just remember guys, if you've got any questions at any point, the guys that are on Zoom, feel free to unmute yourselves or put something in the chat. Or we are live streaming this, and anyone joining the live stream, I am trying to keep abreast of any comments on the live stream as well. But it's always best to join a Zoom theme, to be honest, because then you get notice in advance of what kit you'll need. Right then, so let's just start to pick the knees up a little bit. I'm going to turn side on and just tell you why. So as we're building this up, we're lifting the knees. What we're going to do is we're just going to do 10 sort of high knees, and then we're going to do a down up. So don't need to copy me. I'll just demonstrate first off. So what you can do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then down, and then back up again. Obviously with a little bit more vigor. Okay, so just continue jogging for now. And we're just going to do 5 of those in succession. So here we go. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, and then down, and then up. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, down, then up. So that's 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Number 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 10. Number 4. Okay, last one then. 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And down. And back up. Good, so hopefully, like myself, got a bit of a blow on. We're going to go down to the mat now. Okay. So we're doing core, and as I said right at the start, that's working everything, the entire central pillar. So that's what we're going to try and focus on warming up. We start off with some single leg bridges. So it's just the setup. Bring your heels right and close to your bum. Okay. The non-working leg runs parallel to the working leg. So your quads stay parallel to one another. Your thighs stay parallel to one another all the time. And it's going to drive through this planted foot, through the heel. Okay, like this. Just pushing your hips up to the sky. Okay, we're just going to do 10 of these on each side. Get those glutes going. Here we go. 1, keeping those quads, those thighs parallel. 2, so keeping that non-working leg up. Keeping the hips level. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Really drive. Push those hips up. 8, 9, and 10. Okay, and on to the other side. The other leg goes parallel for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and last one, 10. So you should hopefully have been feeling that in sort of the meat of your butt muscle, hitting the meat of your glute. So now what we're going to do is just going to be lying down on our front. Okay, lying down on the mat. And we're going to do what we call swimmers with a slight little twist. So what you're going to do, guys, is if you're doing sort of breaststroke, you're going to push out in front of you, around the side, like that. Okay, and just retracting your shoulders, so drawing your shoulders away from your ears as you do so. But then we're going to throw in a little twist. So I want you kicking the legs behind you, keeping your legs nice and straight, and you're just sort of fluttering them. So this is good for the swim kick, okay? You should feel this right in top of your hamstrings and to your glutes. So you can do both at the same time. So we're also getting our coordination going, all right? So don't worry if it takes you a second to get the brain engaged. But here we go. So start off with a breaststroke stroke, and then kicking behind us, little flutters. For another 7, 6, 5, 4. Remember, track the shoulders away from the ears. 3, 2, and 1. Okay. So again, feeling that in the glutes, and just getting your shoulders going a little bit. Nothing too strenuous, hopefully. Okay. Now we're going to go staying down on the mat. Doing this on our knees, we're just going to do a few press ups, okay? So remember the press up, set up. So whatever version you're doing, make sure your body weight is forward so your shoulders over your wrists, okay? Don't stress too much about depth. We're just going to do 10, nice and easy, just whatever you can handle, okay? We're trying to get your chest to the ground as far as possible. For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and last one. Good. Okay, so just waking up our pectoral, our chest muscles. So coming up onto our feet now, we're going to do some warrior, what we call warrior deadlifts, or it's just warrior pose basically. If anyone does any yoga, all right. So what you're going to do, place all your weight on one leg, keeping the leg nice and straight, not locked, just a very soft bend in the knee. Then you're going to clasp your hands into your chest, just check what's behind you. Okay, and then what you're going to do is your chest is going to drop down, your leg is going to raise behind you, you're going to push your arms out in front of you like that. Okay, so you should look like a capital T when you get to the base of the movement. Okay, this is going to encourage a little bit of length and a little bit of mobility to your hamstring, and it's also, I have to keep, I don't know why I did that, it was really unsettling. You have to keep your core engaged whilst you're doing it, stop yourself from rotating, etc. Okay, so clasping your hands in between you, going to move in one smooth movement. We're just going to do 5 on each side. Here we go. So dropping the chest, pushing the hands out in front of us until your arms basically should be level with your ears, pointing your toes at the back, and then slowly come back up, much slower than that. I just lost my balance there, so that's 1. A little bit further with each one. 2. Nice and controlled, keeping your balance as best you can. If you struggle with your balance, pick a point on the wall in front of you and just stare at that point. Nice and smoothly back up. 2 more. Nice and controlled. This isn't about so much doing a huge number of reps. It's all about the control. It's all about testing your balance and your coordination. Good. Okay, onto the other leg. Give a legs quick shake. Then we go on to the other side. Okay, you might find you're a bit stiffer on one side or the other. This is much more encumbered for me on this side. Yeah, as I said, right, so a bit stiff from a run I did. Okay, so that's 2. Just encouraging a bit of length, a little bit more depth with each one. 3. 4. And last one. And 5. Okay, good. Give a quick shake out to the legs. And then what we're going to do, we're going to take our legs basically as wide as we can get them, with our toes pointing out diagonally. And we're just going to bend the knees, so we're sort of squatting down in like a sumo position. And then from here, we're just going to tip over at the waist. Okay, so our chest is parallel to the ground. Hands down to the floor, so you bend your knees as much as you have to get your hands on the floor. And then basically you're just going to follow your hands across the floor and then lunge into it. Just really take your time, just going across a little bit further with each one. It's just going to open up your hips and sort of the groin area. Okay, so that's 4. We're doing 10 in total. It's getting a bit further with each one. 5, 6, 7, 8, a couple more. 9 and 10. Okay, don't worry, just take your time. Don't worry if you fall behind at all. There's always plenty of chat for me and plenty of opportunity for you to catch up. Okay, this time we're going down onto the floor, just do a couple of mobility exercises, just loosen off a little bit. Okay, so going to what's called the 90-90 position. So you might pay attention to this. I always get confused even when I'm talking about it. So I've got my left knee forwards and it's bent to 90 degrees. My right knee comes up to my left heel. Again, sort of 90 degrees, like so. with my hand, I'm going out, sort of out in front of my left knee. So left hand out in front of left hand out in front of left knee. Then with my right hand, with my palm facing upwards, I'm going to scoop underneath that elbow like so. Slide it along the floor, then come back out and rotate out right back, pulling that shoulder back. So you're getting a bit of spinal rotation. You should feel this around the outside of your hip and then in your spine as you rotate outwards. Okay, we're just going to do 5 of these on each side. Okay, so palm up, scooping underneath, rotating outwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then swapping legs around. So I'll just run through the setup again in case anyone needs me to. So this time my right knee is going to be forwards, bent to 90 degrees. Left knee comes up to my right heel. I'm reaching out in front of my right knee with my right hand. Left hand palm up. I scoop underneath. And then rotate upwards for 1, 2, 3. Really pull backwards with that shoulder as you rotate out. 4. And 5. Okay, good. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Hopefully helps you feel a little bit looser. So we're now going to go back onto all fours. Okay, do some cat cows. So what we're doing here, onto all fours, and just think about pulling your belly button to the floor, arching your back, pull your head back a little bit. Should feel like you're sticking your bum up to the sky, or you're trying to pull your bum in towards your head. Okay, and then go do the opposite movements. Think about pulling your belly button up to the ceiling, and then really stretch out your back. Do 4 more of these movements. Always really good to do a bit of spinal mobility work before you start doing any strength and conditioning. Also, if you've just been sat down all day, make you feel like a new person. So that's 2. Just really slow and controlled. So you'll notice, you'll hear that in these sessions, the theme is, this isn't a HIIT class. We're all about doing everything with purpose and control and slowly. To be honest, you're likely to get more of a stimulus if you're doing things in a controlled and sensible manner, because you're putting more strain on the muscle rather than just asking for it to act in an explosive way and ask all your stabilizer muscles to pick up the slack. If you do exercise nice and slowly, it does really help you target in on the appropriate muscle groups. So whenever you're doing exercises in these sessions, apart from where we are specifically trying to do explosive movements, really just think about taking your time with it, making sure you're doing it properly. Don't worry if you fall back on the reps, or you fall behind or whatever. It's really not a big deal. It's more important that you're doing things properly. Okay, so final loosener. So grab your chair or stool, whatever you're using. Okay, hopefully it's a little bit wider than what I'm using. But taking your hands sort of shoulder width apart if you can. Just going to sit back down on your heels, so you might get a nice little stretch across the fronts of your quads, your thighs. And then what you're going to do is just going to drop your head in between your shoulders. Should feel a nice stretch across the back of your shoulders, and hopefully it will eventually start getting into your lats. And then you're just going to come up, start to push your hips in towards the stool or chair, and this will feel a little bit like the cat cows. You're feeling a slight pinch in your lower back. Okay, so this is going to mobilize your shoulders and get your lats going as well. And if anyone joined last week, you should be well acquainted with what your lats are. There's wing-shaped muscles at the side of your back. So there's a couple more of these. Okay, depress your shoulders. Okay, and bring your arms to your side and things like that. Really important muscles, particularly for triathletes. Okay, last one. Okay, back to the starting position and release. Okay, cool, right, and so just our normal drill. Do some leg swings, so find somewhere, a section of the wall or whatever, or get a chair, just something to help you balance, check what's around you, and then just kicking forwards, just kicking higher a little bit each time, just doing 10 forwards and back. Okay, again check what's behind you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to do this in front, facing the camera, but do this, facing the wall, give yourself some balance, but just so you can see what I'm up to. You're then just going to kick across your body and then out to the side. Really good dynamic stretches to do as part of your run warm up if you're a runner. 7, 8, 9, 10, and then onto the other leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. And then arm swings. So bring them forwards, coming in towards your ears. Okay, and then backwards, making sure you're bringing your arm, keeping your arms straight, and then bringing them in close to your ears, guys. If you're about to hit the ceiling, you can do this on your knees. Okay. So 10 backwards, and 10, and then across your chest. Okay, so just finish off that. Also, get my watch. Always forget this. Always have so much time to prepare and then still forget the watch. Okay, guys, right, so to start off with the core stuff. So, remember what I said at the beginning of the session. We're working on this entire central pillar. Okay, we're not just working the abs, okay? Now, guys, potentially a little bit controversial, and I'm sure not every personal trainer or triathlon coach would agree with me. There's always room for discussion, and there's always exceptions to the rule, but in my opinion, for the general triathlete and the general amateur triathlete or endurance athlete, doing ab crunches and things like that are they're not next to useless. That's a bit harsh. They're not cost effective, okay? They're not worth your time really, because for an endurance athlete, it's all about being able to keep this central pillar steady and still whilst your limbs or whilst you're swimming or your legs are whirring around on the bike, okay? It's all about keeping this central pillar still, and a lot of the time it's an anti-rotational purpose, okay? You don't want your body rocking and rolling when you're doing things. You want it nice and steady so that those arms and legs can do the work. Obviously, exception to that is being in swimming, where actually you do want good body rotation, but it's still from a very strong kind of central axis, okay? So just remember that, and that's why in all our training programs, all our strength programs, generally speaking, we don't do a tremendous amount of ab work because it's just not useful, really. Okay, so to start off with doing a lot of core conditioning exercises. So this is an arbitrary definition. It's not scientific as such, but we delineate core exercises according to core conditioning and core strength. So core strength, we're talking about more ab work, properly dynamic exercises, and then core conditioning, which is what we're going to focus on in this session, is more static holds. Okay, so planks, etc., leveraged holds. You can make them more dynamic, and I'm going to be showing you how you can do that. And when you're doing kind of core conditioning, it doesn't have to be standalone. So for our training programs, we do kind of give standalone core work, but our athletes hopefully will also notice that we try to introduce a lot of it as part of normal exercises. And at the end of this session, I'm just going to show you a few examples, and I hope there's not too many light bulb moments for our guys, because I know some of them are on tonight. But it hopefully will just clarify a little bit that core doesn't just mean planks. It means it can be planks whilst doing other stuff, Okay, just put it in a very simple way. Anyway, right, so let's work on the basic core setup. Okay, so we're going to work through the most basic planks. We're going to challenge ourselves as well, and we're also just going to make sure we're doing everything right before we move on. So we're getting down into plank position, guys. All right, so a couple of key points to make here. So getting into the plank position, and then what I want you to do is just push forward on your toes. Okay, so you can see immediately this brings my shoulder over my elbow, and then the next thing you want to do is relax your hands. You want to take all the tension out your forearm, because if you've got loads of tension here, you're just going to fatigue more quickly. So relax your hands, and then look forwards about a foot in front of you. Okay, just give yourself a point of contact to hold on to. And then what I often see a lot of the time is people won't have their feet further away, and their bum will be up in the air like this. So if you do have a mirror around you somewhere, you can have a look, or you can see your shadow on the wall or what have you. Really, just make sure you take your feet further away, so that's a nice 90-degree bend in both your elbow and your shoulder. Okay, all right, and keeping that bum down, so it should be a nice straight line all the way down from the back of your head, all the way down to your heels. Okay, so we're going to do straightforward plank, but we're going to do it for 90 seconds. Okay, so not going to be hugely enjoyable. Guys, if you need to take a mini break, just a little micro break, that's absolutely fine, but get straight back into it, guys. Okay, we're here for 90 seconds. We're going to work ourselves, and let's get ready to go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go then. Right, into the plank position, making sure, take your time with the setup, make sure you're getting it right. So 90-degree bend, make sure you're forward on your toes, so your shoulders are over your elbows. Relax the hands, look forwards about a foot in front of you, and remember to breathe. Whenever we do screenings, it's so often, if we don't prompt people, they'll start to hold their breath. Okay, and one of the reasons people hold their breath, particularly when you're squatting, you do it. It's called the Valsalva effect. And basically what you're doing is, when you're holding your breath, you're retaining oxygen in your diaphragm, in your lungs, and you're basically adding extra rigidity to your torso. But you're going to go blue in the face. Okay, so just remember to breathe and try to be as relaxed as possible. Relax the hands again and just chill out. Okay, so we've done 50 seconds, 5-0 already. Okay, just relax, just relax. Just keep it going. I'm up to 30 seconds left. Here we go, 30 seconds. 25 to go. Remember to breathe. Make sure you fall on your toes. Make sure your bum is down. Nice straight line from the back of your head down to your heels. Come up to the last 15 seconds. Here we go. 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Okay, so that's what we call a prone plank. Hopefully that setup is nice and straightforward, and you've got those good fundamentals that will, when we start to show you some derivatives, you know kind of what you're doing. Now we're going to turn over and we're going to what's called a supine plank. So the prone plank, you're working predominantly your abdominals, your hip flexors, your shoulders. Okay, so it's not just the abdominals, guys. Plenty of other stuff going on there. Okay, this time we're turning over, and instead of the abdominals, we're going to focus in on the hamstrings, the glutes, the lower back. Okay, so you're just working basically the opposing muscle groups. So what we're going to show you is the supine plank. So you're going to lean back on your elbows. Okay, so you're going to make sure your shoulder is over your elbow, you're resting on your heels, and then what you're just going to think about is squeezing your bum cheeks, is squeezing your glutes, and pushing your hips up to the sky, like that. Okay, so we did this one for 60 seconds, mainly because I actually hate it. So here we go. So we're working the opposing muscle groups. All right, not just working on the front, working on the posterior. Here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Up we go. All right. So keep squeezing those butt cheeks, keep squeezing those glute muscles. Push those hips up to the sky. If you feel your bum starting to sag and tap the floor, push those hips back up again. And breathe, remember. Relax the hands again. That's 20 seconds. Thirty to go, halfway. Push those hips up. 20 to go, near there. Ten seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Oh, I hate those. I'm hypermobile in my hamstring, so I have to work extremely hard so that my legs don't hyperextend. Okay, so we've done the posterior chain. We've done the anterior chain, we've done the posterior chain. Now we're going to do the side plank, okay? So again, very simple setup. Go line off side. Again, elbow 90-degree bend. So if you've got a helpful mat like this or anything you can use, I've got lovely little dots that run down in the middle. So what I just want to do is just make sure my ankle is in line with my elbow before I stack my other foot on top. Knees are stacked, hips are stacked. Relax that hand. And then what we're going to do is push our hips up to the sky whilst keeping our chest facing forwards. What we want to, so you don't need to start yet, guys. What we want to avoid is that as we get tired, we start to round. Because what that does is it shifts the emphasis. So your hip flexors start to help out, and kind of the front of your core, the front of your abdominals start to help out as well. Okay, so this exercise, what we're doing here is we're targeting in a big way your glutes and the muscles down the inside of your legs. All right, as well as your obliques, your ab muscles down the side. All right, so we're going to do this exercise on both sides. We're going to do 45 seconds on each side. All right, so let's get ready to go. No, sorry, the question was, are my legs bent? No, your legs are going to be straight. I was just relaxing. Okay, so legs are straight. So make sure your ankles are in line with your elbow. Getting ready to go in 3, 2, 1, up we go. Okay, so just remember, no rolling, and these core exercises, they're largely anti-rotational, so we don't want any rotation in that chest. Keep that chest facing forwards. If you need a hand, you point your, if you ever seen someone doing this, you're wondering why, it's to make sure that this shoulder points up to the sky, and that means you're not rounding. Okay, so we're already halfway through. Keep breathing, relax your hands. Okay, 15 seconds to go. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, good. Quick change around then. Going on to the other side, making sure elbows in line with the ankle. All right, ready to go in 3, 2, 1. Up we go. So chest pointing forwards, hand up to the sky if you want to, making sure ankles are stacked, knees are stacked, hips are stacked, and just hold and breathe. Okay, that's halfway. Start to feel that hip dropping. Push that hip up to the sky. Got 10 seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, and relax. Okay, grab a quick sip of water. So those exercises, guys, those are your fundamental core conditioning exercises, okay? So these are, generally speaking, kind of like the foundation of any other kind of core static hold exercise, any other types of plank. So what we're going to do in the next round is I'm going to show you some more, slightly more dynamic or more interesting versions or more challenging versions, okay? And then in the third round, I'm going to show you how you can kind of incorporate those kind of static holds in other exercises, okay? So a quick drink of water. So what we're going to do in these next round is we're just going to show you how we can make the exercises a little bit more dynamic. It doesn't have to be just sit there and hold. It can be a little bit more interesting, albeit still pretty bloody horrible. Okay, so the first one I'm going to show you is just simply single arm, single leg plank. Okay, so this involves quite a lot of coordination and quite a lot of balance as well. Okay, so there's basically two varieties with this one. Okay, so you can do it from the press up position, where you're just raising one arm, steadily coming down, moving on to the other side. The biggest challenge with this one is as you swap sides, is not rotating in your chest. You want to keep everything steady, so it's really smooth transitions. Okay, the other challenge with this one is as people tend to get tired, their feet starts to move forwards and the bum goes up in the air. Okay, so really make sure that kind of like there's no flexion at your hips. It's a nice straight line as you're transitioning between the two positions. Okay, and then the other one is to do it in a normal plank position. Like this, and this is a little bit more challenging in my opinion, because it's harder not to rotate as you're doing it. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. So we do this, whichever version you want to do. Okay, if there is actually an easier version, you find this really challenging, you can actually do it on your knees. Okay, so it's like basically like going into the press up position. So forward on your knees, and then you're shifting like that. Okay guys, so just FYI, if you find this really hard, there is that option as well. Doesn't matter what you do, we're all about progress, guys, about learning and hopefully giving you the tools so that you can make this more challenging for yourself. But we're going to do this exercise for 60 seconds. So if you need to start doing one, move down to the next, make it easier, that's absolutely fine. Just make sure you're challenging yourself and you're doing things properly. So getting ready to go then. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'm going to go into normal prone plank position. I'm just going to start slowly pointing my toes behind me, my arm out in front, opposite arm, opposite leg, slowly transitioning, trying to halt any rotation in my torso. That's 20 seconds. And remember to relax the hands. It's so, when you're doing this one, it's really hard to stay relaxed because it's just horrible. But try and breathe, try and relax the hands as best you can. Keep that bum down. Got just under 25 seconds to go. $15, 10, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Okay, great guys. So you can see, as soon as you add in an anti-rotational and a balance factor, suddenly that plain old prone plank becomes a hell of a lot harder, right? And if you think about cycling in particular, we're in that kind of prone plank position as we're I don't know why I'm doing this. Whilst we're cycling, we're kind of holding that position, aren't we? And then we're doing things with our arms changing gear, indicating whatever it is. You know, you're in that kind of single arm, single leg plank position kind of. And so that suddenly becomes a very important exercise in helping you keeping that central pillar straight. If you join any of our bike sessions, you would have heard me saying numerous times, the best time trialists are the ones that are super relaxed and they've got like a very steady torso, very steady upper body. Guys like Tom Dumoulin, Van Aert, etc. You know, their upper body just does not move. And it's because they've got supreme core conditioning, but they're also really relaxed with it. Okay, so that's the prone version. The supine version is quite different to what we were doing earlier. So you're going to need your mini band or your resistance band, and you're going to wrap it around your legs just above your knees. Okay, and what you're going to do, you're going to get your chair or your stool that you can lean back on, and you're just going to slide down. Let me put the band around my legs first. You're going to slide down the stool until just the bottom of your shoulder blade is on the edge, okay? So you put it another way, it's just the backs of your shoulders and your head that are still on the stool or chair, okay? From here, you'll see that my heel is directly underneath my knee, okay? And I've got the band on, so then I'm just gonna take that out to tension. So just take my feet out to about hip width apart, okay? And then this is the part which will be similar to the supine plank we did earlier. You're gonna push your hips up, and immediately you should feel your glutes and your hamstrings firing. And then once we're in this position, what we're gonna do is just take one leg out to the side, not far, just a couple of inches, whilst keeping those hips up, like that. Okay, it's not a dramatic exercise, but it's challenging. Particularly if you've got a heavy band like this, it's blimmin' hard. Okay, so we do that for 60 seconds. All right, so grab your stool, grab your mini band, and let's get ready to go. Where's my watch? There we go. Okay, so sliding down so just the bottom of your shoulder blade is on the edge, and your head and back to your shoulders are on the chair. Hips are up, knees and feet are about hip width apart, and then the timer starts. So we're just keeping the hips up throughout. Okay, and then once we're ready, just moving one foot out to the side, just a couple of inches, then back into alignment with the hip. Then we go on to the other side, whilst keeping the hips up. Okay, there's a lot going on here. A lot of coordination. You've got to keep the hips up throughout. As you're moving, it's very easy to drop them. That's 20 seconds down already. Okay, keeping the heel underneath your knee, so 90-degree bend. You can feel this in the outsides of your glute muscles as we hit your abductors. Hips up, remember, 20 seconds to go, keep going. Just nice, smooth, steady movements. Try not to allow the band to ping your legs back together. Okay, so resisting the band at all times. Last few seconds, keep it going. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, and relax. So that is actually one of my favorite exercises, because what you're doing, you're not only kind of working that posterior chain, those glutes, hamstrings, lower back, etc., in a core conditioning way, but you also, when you're moving your legs out with that band, or just having the band around your legs full stop, resisting it from pulling your legs inwards, that's working your abductors, which are super important muscles for hip stability and for endurance athletes. Okay, so this next one, we're going back into a side plank. So it's basically the same setup. What I'd like you to do is grab sort of a light to medium weight. Okay, I'll show you what we're up to first, and then you can make your decision as to how heavy you want to go. But we're going into, oh, just 1 second. Let me just double check what I'm doing. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so we're going into a side plank, normal setup. So making sure your ankles are in line with your elbow. You're grabbing the weight. Okay, so you're going up into the side plank position. Then you're drawing the weight up into your chest, so that your elbow sits on your side here. Okay, and then what you're doing from here is keeping your elbow glued into your side. Is you're lifting the weight up to parallel to the floor and back, like so. Okay, so this is an example of an exercise which is doing two things at once. It's making your core more interesting, and it's also a really good way of hitting an area which is otherwise difficult to hit. So what we're doing with these little rotations is we're getting into your rotator cuff. Okay, this is, I find, is actually one of the best rotator cuff exercises, because you're working against gravity. Okay, rather than doing resistance band. Personally, I don't find the resistance band work with the rotator cuff that great. I've got really messed up shoulders from playing rugby years and years ago, and I find this is actually the best rotator cuff exercise for me. Okay, so this is an example where we're making a static hold more dynamic, but also working on something else at the same time. Okay, so this is going to be quite challenging. So we're going to do 30 seconds of this on each side. Okay, so pick your weight. You probably want to go quite light or sort of medium weight. But let's get ready to go in 3, 2, 1. Let's get the core set up. So we're not starting the timer yet. Let's get the plank set up properly. Okay, chest is facing forwards throughout. Okay, timer is on. We bring the weight up to our chest, up to our stomach. Elbow stays glued to the side. your shoulder stays away from your ear. And then once we're set, we start to raise. We pause at the top and come back down. Okay, and then just smoothly rotating outwards. Keeping that elbow pinned into your side for another 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, swapping onto the other side. Stacking those feet, knees and hips. Elbow 90 degrees, shoulder is over your elbow. Up into the plank position. Let's go. Grabbing our weight, bringing it to our stomach. Shoulder away from our ears. Elbow glued into our side, and we start to rotate outwards. And breathe. Okay, that's halfway. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Okay, and one thing I neglected to mention, it's also harder because you've got to wait. You know, you're trying to lift this weight off the ground as well when you're doing that side plank. Okay, so that's the second circuit. So grab yourself a quick drink of water. All right. And then the final circuit that we're going to do. Final circuit that we're going to do is demonstrating how you can do kind of normal compound exercises, you know, big exercises that you'll recognize, and how you can add in a sort of a greater core component to it. Okay, so I'll just demonstrate the first exercise. So this is an exercise where you might want a heavier weight if you've got one, because it is predominantly a leg exercise. Okay, it's called a briefcase deadlift. So I'm going to use a kettlebell just because I want to be fancy, but you can use a dumbbell. But yeah, like I say, if you've got something relatively heavy, ideal. Not a big deal for this session. I just want to show you what we're doing. But basically, for briefcase deadlift, what we're doing is we're aligning the weight with our ankle. We're taking our feet about shoulder width apart, and this is a deadlift, guys. So remember, it's basically you're pivoting at the hip. So if I stand side on and just demonstrate, it's not a part squat, part deadlift. It's a deadlift. So you're keeping your legs pretty much straight, just a very soft bend in the knees, and then you're tipping over at the hips. So it's just that movement, and you're driving your hips forwards. Other key thing is keep your shoulders at neutral. So what I often see people doing deadlifts is their shoulders round, and you see what happens to my spine there. It's really rounded. I draw my shoulders back to neutral, suddenly my spine flattens out. Okay, so just remember that when you're ever doing any deadlift, you're not pulling your chest back like that, you're just keeping your shoulders at neutral. Okay, so I'll just demonstrate the exercise in full. Okay, so the weight is in line with my shin, very soft bend in the knees, tipping over, and then we're driving up and pushing the hips forwards. Weight goes back, and then we come back up. Okay, so I'll just demonstrate what's going on from the front. Okay. Drive the hips forwards, and you can see because the weight is off center, I'm having to work very hard to keep everything, and the vast majority of that work is coming from my core. So my abs in particular and my abductors on the other side are working extremely hard to keep that movement straight. So I'll demonstrate that again from here. Suddenly, core is really engaged, and now my abductors start to engage to keep it steady. Okay, and this is just a great example of how moving the weight out to the side, introducing an anti-rotational component, suddenly that core, those ab muscles, they are alight. Okay, so what we're going to do, we do this exercise in real time. We're going to do 15 reps, 1-5 on each side. Okay, so weight to your side, just in line with your ankle. We're bending over, keeping our legs pretty much straight, but it's a very soft bend. Keep those shoulders at neutral, and then we push those hips forwards and really exaggerate it. So I'll stand side on. So here we go. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, over halfway now, 9, 10, 5 more, 11, 12, 13, 14, right, last one. So make sure you're coming up nice and straight, driving up straight, there we go. Okay, onto the other side. I'll do this one facing the camera, so feet hip width apart. Onto the other side, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're coming up straight. Make sure you're balancing it out on the other side. 5, 6, 7, 8. Over halfway. 9, 10, 11. Last 4 then. 12, 13, 14, last one. 15. Okay, weight down, cool. Right, we've got 2 more exercises to get through. We'll be very quick about it. They're very straightforward, albeit quite challenging. So, what we're going to do now, getting our stool back, we're just going to need 1 weight again, okay? Just get a slightly weight just so I don't embarrass myself. So it's very straightforward. It's just a single arm chest press, but we're adding in kind of 2 core components to it. So first one is we're sliding down again like we were for the hip thrust hold. So it'll just so that our bottoms of shoulder blades are on the edge. Okay, so our glutes are involved, our hamstrings are involved, keeping our hips up. So that's the first point. Second point, we're only doing it one side at a time. Okay, so immediately I've got this weight trying to pull me over to the side, and my core is having to work overtime to keep myself from falling over. And we're just going to press up in front of our chest, bringing our hand back down to the side of our chest like that. Okay, we're just going to do 10 of these on each side. So get yourself ready to go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So hips up, drive through your heels, keep those hips up throughout. Here we go. 1, exhaling as you push up, inhaling on the way down. 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep that chest steady, no rotation in the torso. 6, 7, 8, 9. Last one then. And 10. Okay, and then straight onto the other side. Just got to move my stool over a bit just so I don't put my hands straight into the windowsill. So swapping the weight onto the other side. So brace that core, brace those abdominals, and getting ready to go. Hips up, squeeze those glutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Last one. 10. Okay, weight down. Good. Right, we've just got one last exercise to do and then we're done. Okay, so this last one, we're basically going to work the opposing muscle groups. Okay, we're working predominantly the chest and the front of the shoulders there. We're now going to work the back with a single arm row. Okay, so it's basically same setup as when we were just doing that briefcase deadlift. Okay, and then what you're going to do, you're going to get yourself your chest parallel. Okay, looking forwards a little bit. Remember those shoulders into neutral, not rounding. Okay, and then what you're going to do, you're going to take your weight and you're going to row in past your hip like that. And when you're doing it, try not to rock and roll like this and twist your torso. it's straight up and down with your hand. Okay? So grabbing your weight just off to the side, or you can have it just inside your foot for this one. But chest is parallel, keeping that chest nice and steady, and rowing in past the hip for 10 on each side. Here we go. 1, 2, keeping it steady. 3, keep this hand loose, don't use it to brace yourself. 4, chest stays parallel to the floor. 5, 6, rowing in past your hip. 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Okay, on to the other side. Last time through. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Okay. Good. Well done, guys. So probably not the most intense session we've ever done, but hopefully a lot to learn there. So just quick little recap. So you started off by teaching you the fundamentals of doing those 3 types of plank. So the prone plank. Okay, make sure you're coming forward on your toes, so your shoulder is over your elbows. Supine plank, squeezing those butt cheeks, lifting those hips up into the sky. Okay, you're working the posterior chain, so you're basically working the front muscles and then the back muscles, and then the side planks, again making sure your shoulder is over your elbow, stacking those feet, knees and hips, and keep your chest facing forwards and not rounding in on yourself. The second group of exercises, we were just going through how you can make those a little bit more dynamic, and they don't have to be kind of the boring same old stuff. Anything really where you start throwing in a anti-rotational component, suddenly things start to get more difficult, or working on balance, or single limb, etc. Suddenly that exercise becomes much harder. And then the final group of exercises were just normal exercises, your deadlift, your chest press and your row. But suddenly, if you've got the weight off center, or you're just doing it single arm, suddenly you've got that anti-rotational component again, and the core and your abductors and your glutes are having to fire big time. Okay, so hopefully a few good takeaways from that session. I'll stick around now if anyone's got any questions. But that, guys, is week 5 of our Elemental Moves series. Has anyone got any questions? Okay, guys. No worries, everyone. Thanks very much for your time, everyone.